this happened. Silhouette Gaming. We received a fresh batch of silhouettes this year. And I never really got around to talking about them. Right? Now, we know who two of the people on this list are. I have a separate image that's out there, but we have, you know what, let me just quickly download that, like, right now. Add that in the JP chat. And I will be using the numbers that are present on this. Yeah, so we have Yui. And we have Ushigozen, right? They're all just different versions of Liz. Yeah, kind of. So this one here, the one on the far right, is obviously Yui. And then Ushigozen, this bottom image, Ushigozen, was combined with two people. She was just actually very tall. So I want to talk about this. And we have Andromeda. Is that who... The blue is Andromeda? Oh, the blue is Andromeda. Okay. Alright, cool. That was Andromeda. Got it. Working on old information. Okay, then I can just trim out some of this. Who's hiding behind Ushigozen? That's hard to tell. Genuinely, I have no idea. Yeah, Takero did not make the cut, but let's talk about this. Hold on, work again. Yeah, let's talk. So, we're going to be going from left to right on who I think these are. Right? So. Maybe the one behind front of is Tamama Arya? I don't think so. Could see Lime Green being the Ordeal Call servant, that's all I got? I don't think so. But, okay, actually, you know what? Let's talk about this. So I actually wrote out who I think these people are. So from left to right in order of this image right here. These are numbers. So let's start with number one. Number one, I think, is kind of difficult to tell. It looks like it could be... It's someone who's from royalty. It's got braided hair by the looks of it. No, not braided hair. It's got like this long, like, flowing hair. Very, very conservative looking with the clothing. I would wager it's probably a deity of some form. Something that we need to keep in mind with... It could be Japanese royalty. It might be Chinese royalty. Something that we need to keep in mind with this coming up is that Ordeal Call, right? Ordeal Call comes out tomorrow. And the theme is id.
Rapunzel.
And I'll go into what that exactly means later. In case you're curious, but things that are important for that are id, ego, and super ego. Given the dress, I would assume this is definitely ego or super ego adjacent. If we're gonna go full on Freud, this might be Jocasta, which is Oedipus's mom. Maybe. I don't think so though. I feel like if they're going to go for a mom figure, it would be more, mom-ish. So I don't know. Something about this feels either Chinese or Greek. I'm kind of leaning more towards Greek, and I'm just gonna say, wouldn't it be cool if this was the Oracle of Delphi? Wouldn't that be neat if this was the Oracle of Delphi? It has the robe, the hair could fit for it, the look could fit for it. I've seen like a character kind of just like, Zaha, you're completely wrong. That's not what that is. It would be cool, but not horny enough. Well, the Oracle of Delphi isn't horny, it's just an oracle. I'll have an explanation as to what the id, ego, and superego is here in a little bit. I'll get into that. That's going to be important for number 5. So yeah, my current prediction is that it's going to be Oracle of Delphi is number 1, purple, far right. Now, number 2, I didn't realize was fucking Andromeda. I should have guessed that though. So we're just going to skip number 2 and go right to number 3, which is the Green Man. So the Green Man, Funny Hat Man, as I have him written down here, it's Dantes or Dantes adjacent, right? Like, look at it. That's very obviously something Dantes-esque, right? Now, I don't think it's going to be like a second Dantes. I don't see them adding like a second Dantes like for a silhouette thing. If Dante no, not Dante, Dantes with an S. No, not somebody pretending to be Dantes. How many of you actually know the story of the Count of Monte Cristo? How many of you are familiar with the Count of Monte Cristo? So, in that story, there is a very important figure to Dantes, and one who is very relevant to his, to him, like, becoming who he is, right? Yep, you got it. The priest. Yes, it's the priest. The priest, father, or abbé, which I'm pretty sure just means, like, it just, French? Is it French for father? Yeah, Abbé Faria. So, Abbé Faria, aka the Mad Priest, based on a real historical person, by the way, was, like, the mentor figure to Edmond Dantes. Now, it's being heavily implied that Dantes is going to be, like, a figure in this coming one. Something about Prison Tower event and all of that. Don't we already have a design for Faria? I mean, maybe, but that wouldn't be the first time they've retconned things. I don't know. I'm just going to say I don't know. But the hat is too strikingly similar to... The hat... Okay, both the hat and, like, the smoke are too strikingly similar to Dantes. Know what I mean? So, my prediction is that number 3, Mr. Hatman, is going to be... Abbé Faria. We had a design from Dantes before we got Dantes. Dantes altar? I don't think so. I think he'll be his own thing. I'm hoping it's done by the Danganronpa guy. It looks like it's that style. And then, I mean, I could very easily just be being influenced by the way how it's been drawn here, which is very priestly. You'll notice. What if it's Dante altar? I don't think so. I don't think that we're gonna get an altar of Dantes. I think that most likely it's gonna be Faria. If it's in this realm, it's gonna be Faria. And so what I envision personally is, oh, why do I have my hat? What I envision personally is that one of the things that Dantes inherits from him is the hat. Dantes gets the hat from him. Just think of Shanks and Luffy. Think of it like that. That's how he gets the hat. And there you go. That's how we're doing it with Dantes and Abe. I have not full confidence, but a decent amount of confidence that it's going to be him. And again, actually based on a real person, so, you know, that's pretty cool. Will he lose his arms too? Spoilers!
So after a certain event in the book...
Yes. Alright, so number 4 is indecipherable, realistically. I have no idea.
Has been passed down the count of Monte Cristoline for generations.
I have no idea who number 4 is supposed to be. This one kind of gives us the better angle of who it is. They've got a kind of a puffy-ish outfit. They're on their tiptoes, but Ushigozen's fat fucking ass is covering them up, so I have no idea. Like, it could be anybody. They have it drawn like this, but that head and the way how they're turning, they pictured 2 different people with long ass swords, but it was just one Ushigozen. The hair gives princess vibes. Where are you seeing hair? I guess, yeah, down here. I guess I see that. So, because I didn't really have a proper prediction for this one, because there's so much of nothing to go off of, I just kind of put in a wild card. Instead, I want it to be Zheng Yi Sao. I just want Zheng Yi Sao. Zheng Yi Sao, of course, is the, probably, speaking of One Piece, the most successful servant, or most successful pirate in history. If we're gonna, like, look at it from just, like, a pure, probably money-making and power standpoint, they've got that shit covered on both angles. Yep, she had a huge fleet. She, essentially what happened was the Chinese government couldn't do anything about her. They tried to, like, capture her. They tried to have her killed. They tried to do all of that, and they just couldn't do it. And so she got old enough that she, she just walked into the royal court and was just like, hey, give me a bunch of money right now and I'll stop. I'll disband everybody and I'll go, like, own a brothel. And the Chinese government was just like, okay. And then they did it and she lived out the rest of her life happy. Like, if we're going to talk purely, like, success, I think that she has it beat. She was the most successful. Power move, 100%. Yeah, actual Chad shit, and that she'll be a 4-star writer. Just you watch. Alright. Number 5. On this list, number 5 is very, very obviously the Count. Right? That's the Count. Here we go. We should have a... Or we don't have a proper image. You know what? That's fine. I don't need it. It's fine. We all know. We know who it's going to be. Right? We know who it's going to be. But who is it? So this is the poster boy of Ordeal Call 2, Id. And it's going to be revealed soon, but I want to throw out some, like, just real last-minute guesses. So the primary clue that we have as to who they are... do we have a design? Yes, kind of. Here, one sec. Like, we know what he looks like. This is him on the right side next to Bhima and what's most definitely going to be Lilith. And yes, this is going on YouTube. So, yeah, Dracula, kind of. I mean, he very easily could just be generic vampire. I wouldn't be surprised if he's just going to be called the Count. But, you know. Where's my thing? There it is. But the thing that kind of throws me out the most, I still feel it's Lucifer. Honestly, that's not a bad guess. I don't think they're going to go with Lucifer, though. I think that might be too controversial. I think... Okay, so let's start here. Ordeal Call 2 is called id. Id is a concept in Freudian psychology, right? So let me break down these concepts for you, because it seems like not all of you are really aware of it. And I'm just going to put this out there when this does go on YouTube. I'm not a psychologist. I'm an English teacher. English and history. Psychology is not my field of expertise. I'm sure I'm going to get some of this wrong. Just, if you are a psychologist and you're watching this, first of all, why? Second of all, feel free to correct me. So, let's start with id. So there's three concepts in Freudian psychology. Id, ego, superego. So id is your base bestial nature. It's the part of you that says, I want to eat an entire cheesecake because cheesecake tastes good. I like cheesecake. I have a cheesecake. I'm going to go eat that cheesecake. That's your id, right? It's the part of you that is just like, I'm gonna go do this. It's like, I'm horny, I'm gonna go jack off. I'm hungry, I'm going to go eat. I'm sleepy, I'm just gonna go to bed. Regardless of where you are, what you're doing, or any of those things, those are your natural instincts and urges, is to go do those things. Yes, the monkey brain. Not intrusive thoughts, the monkey brain. It's just, like, all of the things that, like, make you... It's your baser instincts. Your ego is the part of your brain that... Your ego is the part of your brain that says, eating an entire cheesecake is bad for you. So, just take one slice and be satisfied with that. It's the part of you that deals with... It's the part that deals with reality and repercussions. Essentially... It's like the acquired knowledge that you get that keeps the baser instincts at bay. So, you've learned from your parents and from other people that you don't want to actually eat the whole cheesecake because then it hurts you if I do that. Like, it's going to make your stomach upset. It's bad for you. It'll taste good at first, but then it's not going to taste good the more you keep eating it. So, just take one slice and you'll have more for it later then. That's your ego. It's the part of your brain that kind of like helps you dictate, okay, I want to do these things, but I know how to do them in moderation. I've learned better. I know better. Yes, it's the part of you that's stopping from eating the whole peanut butter. Yes. But it also does the thing where it'll sometimes just be like, you know what? I really do want to eat a whole jar of peanut butter, and then you do it because just like, you know what? It's bad for me, but doing it one time can't be that bad. It's like the gate. It's the gate that allows those things in and lets you do that sometimes. But it also lets you know, hey, I don't want to do this all of the time. Because, you know, if you never give in to your baser instincts, eventually you essentially act like a drone, like an ant drone, which is bad for you. It's bad for you mentally to act like an ant drone. And that is where the superego comes in. That's the part of your brain that says that if if you eat the entire cheesecake, people will judge you and you'll get fat, making you less appealing on two fronts, so don't eat any cheesecake. This is the part of your brain that is composed exclusively of learned information and social expectations. It's the part that tells you to do something, or else there are dire consequences to you on a grander scale than just yourself. Social pressure is an interesting way to think of that, because it's kind of like that. It's the part of your brain that is exclusively logical. It's the part of your brain that is exclusively like, okay, I know that eating this cheesecake has a lot of calories. Eating any piece of cheesecake has a lot of calories. So if I eat this, people will probably judge me. I might get fat and it's bad for me. Ergo, I shouldn't eat it at all. And it's these three concepts in your brain that are working in tandem that make you operate as a human being properly. And you need to have a good balance of those things. If you have a misbalance of one or the other, there's something wrong with you. Freud has a bunch of different psychoses that he diagnoses you with for those, like hysteria and stuff like that. And, Freud is a controversial enough character as is, but, like, that's your basic groundwork for what it is. Yeah, instinct, logic, social awareness. Those are, more or less, but a little bit more extreme on the superego.
Lesson learned, I know want some cheesecake.
Yes. So only humans have superego? No. Because it's you can train things to be like pressured. You can teach things social pressures. Like summoned Edmond Dantes, not the Count of Monte Cristo. I mean, yes. Kind of. That's difficult. Not quite. But back on track. So with the information that we have then, realistically, there's two things that the Count could represent, right? If we're going into a thing called id, he's either going to represent the id, or he's going to be a representative of the superego. I don't think that it's going to be one or the other. Because ego being the gatekeeping aspect of your brain that, like, keeps you functioning makes a lot of sense as being like a good guy, and if he's supposed to be a more villainous character, which is what his name would, or what he looks like, what that would imply.
Freud is the guy who snorted cocaine and came up with the MILF complex.
I mean, everybody was doing that, but yes. If he's being representative of id, your more bestial nature, then I think that he is going to be I think that the most possible thing for him is that he's going to be how do you pronounce this? Jormungand, the world serpent from Norse mythology, which is a weird thing to kind of just like say, looking at him, that he's going to be a giant snake man. But the more I look at his design, the more I'm convinced this dude is a dragon. Like, look at him. His face is cracking. He's got that fucking, like, almost scales all over him. I swear to God, he's going to be... It's in the eyes. He's going to be he's a dragon or a snake. This dude is 100% going to be a dragon or a snake of some kind. I don't think it's going to be Fafnir. Even though Fafnir would be an interesting one, I'm just going to bank on it being Jormungand, the world serpent, because if we're going to put it exclusively on
Could he be Jormungand?
If we're going to put it exclusively on the id thing, Jormungand just bites on the roots of the world tree and never learns that if he doesn't, that him doing that is going to be nothing.
Serpent from Eden.
I mean, that's not a bad idea either. I don't know. I'm still of the mindset I don't think they're going to go full Bible, full Bibble. Nidhogg's that's a good one. That's a good one too. Nidhogg bites on the thing, doesn't it? Not Jormungand. I'm fucking wrong. The World Tree Biter is Nidhogg, not Jormungand. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm being stupid. Fine, he's Nidhogg. Jormungand's the World Serpent. But yeah, no. I think Nidhogg's actually not a bad one. I don't know. The dragon that killed George doesn't have a connection with it. I think he's going to be I think he's draconic in some form. Now, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, under the assumption that this is a representative of the superego, I think that this is possibly a Shakespearean figure. In that, I think it could very well be... how many of you know who Count Paris is? How many of you are currently in your high school English class? And can tell me who Count Paris is? Never read any Shakespeare. You are... Oh, you people. Count Paris is a figure in arguably... not even arguably. 100% Shakespeare's most famous work, Romeo and Juliet.
Could it be my boy Iago?
Not Iago. Also, if Iago's your boy, I don't want to ever talk to you. So, Count Paris, named after Paris of Troy, mind you, is the guy who is set to marry Juliet that's not Romeo. He's rich, he's successful, he's wealthy, doesn't seem to actually be that bad of a person, but he is the most logical decision for Juliet to marry. Everything that he does throughout the play is primarily dictated by like what is the smartest thing for someone of his time and of his position to do. With the only real time of him kind of giving into his baser instincts is when he duels Romeo, but even then, that duel is done because it's the correct thing to do to defend the tomb of his would-be bride from potentially being defiled by a suitor. What connection does he have with dragons and lizards? You see, well, therein lies the problem, doesn't it? I don't know. The fact that his face is cracked is what kind of fucks me up. Could it be my guy Edgar Allan Poe? No. No, they would go with a more Poe-ish hairstyle. There's a lot of pictures of Poe. Maybe it's a Liz case where he is a dragon just because. He could just be a merging of a couple of different things. And he's certainly not the first cuckold. There's a lot of cucks in history. Any other dragons that he could be? I mean, yes. Okay, you guys want to know one? You guys want to know a really interesting one that he could be? Even though I don't think this is the case. Oh, wait, no, this could be it. Oh, this could actually be it. How many of you know what the lindworm is? I think it's the lindworm. Who here knows what the lindworm is? Make sure I'm right about what this is. I recognize the name but don't know. Okay. So the lindworm, the legend of the lindworm. I'm hoping that this is the right thing. Let me double check. God, it's either the lindworm or it's a different worm. I think it's a different worm. I'm trying to remember. Okay, it's not the lindworm. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll tell you guys a story. The Lambton worm. That's what it is. The Lambton worm. That's what it is. Who here knows what the Lambton worm is? So long story short, there was a prince who decided one day to skip church. Bad idea if you live in in medieval Europe. And an old man came up to him and said, "Hey, you little fucker, why ain't you in church?" And so he just like he ignores the old man. He goes fishing and he pulls up in what looks to be an eel. And he's just like, "Oh, I don't want this eel. I don't like eels." And he goes and he throws it into the well. The time passes. He grows up. He becomes a prince. He goes off to war. And all of a sudden, just like sheep and children start going missing in his town. And it turns out that the eel he threw down into the well that he didn't like was a demon, sometimes like associated just directly with the devil. And it just coils around the well and starts eating people and sheep that get too close to it. People can't go near the river, can't do anything with it. And so eventually the guy comes home from war. He's off on the Crusades, doing Crusader shit. And his dad is just like, "Hey, there's a fucking dragon in the well and we need to kill it. Can you do it?" And he's just like, "I can, but I need to go talk to a witch first." So he goes and he talks to a witch, and the witch says, "I'm going to give you this armor. I'm going to tell you how to do it. Make an armor covered in, like, spearheads. And wear that. And just, like... you're going to have to fight this thing for a while while it's going on. It'll try and wrap itself around you, but it'll cut itself on the spearheads and die eventually. But if you kill it, you'll be horrifically cursed. So what you have to do is after it wraps itself around you and dies, you have to kill the first living thing that you see. And so plan to have like a dog run at you and kill that. And take this and, have it all set out. So him and his dad make this plan that, okay, once I kill this thing, if I live, I'll sound a horn and then send out the dog, and then I'll kill the dog, and then we'll all live happily ever, all hunky-dory, right? And so it all goes as planned. The Lambton worm wraps itself around the Count. The Count, I keep calling him the Count. The son ends up killing it, and then he sounds the horn, and the dad is so happy that the thing is dead and his son is alive and all of this, that he doesn't let the dog out. He runs out to go and see his son, and the son turns around. The first living thing that he sees is his dad, and he realizes that he has to either kill his father or be cursed for 7 generations. And so he's just like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna curse us for 7 generations because I can't bring myself to kill my dad. And then the actual people were cursed for 7 real generations. Oh, sorry, it's 9. I'm looking at this now. It's 9 generations. That they all died horribly. With the first son drowned, second son killed in war, third son died in war, and then it kind of like just fucking patters off until the 9th generation, where a guy is crossing a bridge and his carriage like essentially just explodes. His carriage like breaks down and he dies in that, and that was the last one. So if we're gonna go off of that, following baser instincts like the father, and following your baser instincts like the father and like the Lambton worm, but then also as the son who is fighting his super ego to like, the logical thing is I should kill my father, but I can't do that. He might be an amalgamation of both of them, the Lambton worm and the son, and the 9 generation curse. Also, hi Cam, how's it going? Thank you for the 47 months. Sorry, I have things disabled right now. I'm going to talk about the Silent Hill 2 thing, because, God, that kills me. Every time it kills me. Can he be the dragon Siegfried? I mean, he could be anybody. This is all speculation and prediction. All right, but we're moving on. We spent a long time on him. So number 6. This grimace-looking thing, this potato on stilts. I want to be home. Yeah, me too. Oh wait. So, the one thing we know about number 6 is that they got big boots. And I'm just going to make the assumption that they're a child servant because they look short. And that's not a lot to go off of. It's really not. Is that 6 from Little Nightmares? I mean, kind of. Looks like it, yeah. What's Ochre Pond doing? Yeah, real. So, one that I was going to put on here because I thought it was going to be interesting would be a Fae character who was a knight of one of the Knights of the Round Table, Tom Thumb. But it's too big for that, so I'm going to go against that idea. So let me tell you guys a different story, shall we? Sticking with psychology for a moment. One of these will be right. It has to be, right? How many of you know what Bekos is? How do you guys know about the tale of Bekos? I'm going to assume not many. So, long ago, as recorded by the scholar Herodotus, that's how you know it's fucking old, there was a pharaoh named... Oh, Jesus. Psammetichus I, who wanted to discover what the first language was. And so he decided to do an experiment. Now, if you don't expose a child to any language ever, what will their first words be? Their first actual things that sound like words or language. Right? We don't know. It's an interesting thought. It's an interesting thought experiment. And so this pharaoh took these 2 kids and gave them to a shepherd and said, never talk to them. Never speak in their vicinity. Never let them hear you speak ever. Not even a mumble. But be sure to raise them as you would any other kid otherwise. Treat them absolutely normal. Don't do anything that's going to, influence them in a negative way. Aside from just never speaking with them. And so the shepherd was like, alright, and took care of the kids, never spoke to them, and then one day, both children, at the same time, in unison, stretched out their arms, and then they said the word Bekos. Now, Bekos is a word. Bekos is a word, it's a Phrygian word. It's a Phrygian word that means bread, implying that the kids are hungry and they want bread. They want something to eat. And so the shepherd went and reported this to the pharaoh, and therefore he determined that it was the Phrygians who were the oldest group of human beings. They were the ones who had the original language. And then anything after that is completely unknown. We don't know who those kids were. We don't even know what their names are as far as I know. But they could be just something along those lines. Or they could just be, an amalgamation of any other combination of feral children throughout the ages. But, interesting and fun anecdote, I think. Alright. Next we have number Number 7. Not you. Version I heard was from medieval Europe and the child just died. I mean, that's probably the real version. So number 7, Mr. Blue outline here. Looks to have a sword, maybe? I mean, I don't know how they determined that, but it certainly looks like it. This one's also kind of stumping me. So the thing that is the biggest giveaway for me personally on something like this, is the way how this one particular artist opted to draw their outfit. Which, you know, it looks like they have a collar, a longer coat, longer pleated coat, like boots, very adventurer-ish. I think this might be a Guda servant. I would wager that this is probably a Guda servant. The sword on 7 is Yui's? No. Because they have the sword drawn like this. And that's not Yui. They got Yui's sword. It's pretty well done. In fact, I think that I want to say that this kanji here is them. It's either saying that they're a warrior or they're a samurai of some sort. Very serious business kind of guy, kind of vibes. A little bit. So, I'm torn that it could be one of 2 people. It's not a lot to go off of, really. I mean, none of these are. But I'm going to double down and say this is a Guda servant. It's not Kondo. If it was Kondo, he'd have his hat. I'm going to say that despite the way how it looks, I think it's going to be... I think it's going to be Hideyoshi. This looks like this could be a Hideyoshi design. Maybe. An ascension that's not an obvious one, if that makes any sense. But even then, I'm not fully convinced that that's true. That one's difficult. So instead, what if, instead, we got another retainer of Raiko? What if instead we got this man? Urabe no Suitake. Samurai, very serious. Think of him like the old man of the group. I think it's possible. Do I think it's definite? No, but I think it's possible. That one, I don't know. Y'all let me know what you think. Alright, and then our final one. We have the bow and spear left for Raiko. Which one do you think they'll help? Well, Urabe has the spear, I'm pretty sure. And then the bow, I think, is the other one, who's going to be 100% is going to be a gender bend. I actually can tell you because they have it labeled. Let me go take a little peek. I thought they had it labeled. Maybe they don't. Oh well. I ain't worried about it. I'm just kidding. I am worried about it. Does it actually say? It doesn't. Okay. Well, that's okay. I feel that the guy with the scythe is Charon. No. You know what? That's definitely that's a good guess. So yeah, I actually have some very cursed predictions for who this could be, none of which you're gonna like. None of which any of you guys are gonna like. You ready for this? So, this is a character I'm actually really looking forward to, because it has one of my favorite character tropes, which is little person, enormous weapon. I love that. I really love that. And they're doing, you know, the classic gawky lowly lean. And so there's the biggest giveaway for who they could be is definitely the Scythe, right? Not very many people in history use scythes as weapons. And not very many people in mythology either use scythes as weapons. So let's talk about who does. Even though not really this person doesn't, but they are a death god, Hades. Let me just
De Furman.
Maybe it's Hades. Hades is Smug Shoda? Yes. Smug Shoda, I mean, so maybe the reason why I'm so convinced that this is going to be Greek.
Hold up, that him cook.
Maybe the reason I'm so convinced that this is going to be Greek is because of how mechanical the scythe looks. Know what I mean? That's definitely like a mecha scythe. Hades is the oldest of the big three. Would this make sense? My brother in Christ, this is Fate Grand Order. Okay, Thanatos is on this list as well. Don't you worry. I have Thanatos on tap as well as a potential. If you were worried I wasn't going to mention Thanatos, then you're silly. I have that ready. I can see the Scythe being nature-ish, though. Funny you say that, because my other option is that it's Demeter. Who is also a deity who has a scythe. Now, my actual explanation as to why being Demeter would fit perfectly, you might actually be a fan of. Who's to say? So, what does Demeter govern over?
Wild card. What if the scythe is Chronos' sickle?
That would be cool. So, Demeter governs over nature, the harvest, growth. So, perhaps it's a situation where the servant, as you raise the servant, they start off as a wee little lass, and then you raise them, and then they grow as you take care of them. And so this is stage 1 Demeter. Stage 2 Demeter, much like Kama, will be, you know, teens, maybe like kind of early 20s a little bit. And then you get this here as your final third ascension. Yes, like Tiamon, like Ibuki, like Kama. You raise them.
The Deities perceptionen with Hades being the Scythe. Or Ion and Artemis stilen.
Those would be interesting. I'd be okay with that. So there's still more that it could be. So who wants, like, maybe I have two, the next two are even more cursed options, if you could believe that. So, do you guys want the Greek one first or the non-Greek one first? I'll let you decide. Does the lowly form sell well? It works with comma, but nobody likes small. Here's the thing. I do like small Ibuki. I think she's adorable. All of the art of her is adorable. She's competing with Ibuki, though. I'm sure it does appeal to somebody as being a better design. And I really like the design. I like that she's in the egg. That, like, she has the eggs. I think that's adorable. I'm saying mostly non-Greek. You know. Alright, non-Greek first. Chat, who is this? This is not Amaterasu, this is Izanami. Izanami is, of course, the mother of Eris. Now, Izanami is not necessarily a death god in the traditional sense, but she is a god of death at the same time. She's a creator deity. But she does govern the underworld, and I think that it being her would be very funny. I do think that it would probably do the thing where she would grow up into, like, her third ascension would be like the mom form. No, you're both wrong. The Don't Look Back story is Orpheus. That's Orpheus. But what about Izanagi? Surely they give him a role with Izanami is here. No, it's that's going to be one of those things where she's just like, I really want to see him, but I also don't want to see him. Know what I mean? That's gonna be one of those, like, complicated things where it's just like, and I really want to see him, but who's like that? It's fucking Kriemhild. It's gonna be a Kriemhild situation, and then they can bond over how they miss their husband. Hades did say that, yes, but the character in question is Orpheus. Alright. And now for the final person. Fellas, who is another character in Greek mythology who's associated with a scythe? And one that may explain, this may be may have an actual explanation as to why they appear in a childish form.
And then the horrible conclusions come.
Those are going to come regardless of if they have a significant other or not. We already said Thanatos, so y'all ain't ready for this, apparently. Chat, who is this? Yes, this is Kronos. Kronos classically has a scythe. Kronos also was castrated with that scythe. And so, as a result, he has a sickle, though. Same fucking shit. Who cares? That is a... Yeah, no, he, 100%. He castrated Uranus with the scythe. You know what? You're right. You're right. You know what? When you're right, you're right. That is what happened. Point being, wouldn't it be great if the father of all the gods was an itty-bitty gender-bent, giant scythe-wielding loli? And that the reason why... Okay, who's ready for the deep cut? The deep Fate lore cut? The reason why Kronos manifests as a small child is because after the gods obliterated the Titan fleet of spacefaring spatial fleet, he reconstructed himself with the various parts he could find, but didn't have enough to make a full body, and so he appeared as a child. Interstellar is the word I'm thinking for. Thank you. Yes. Wouldn't that be an actual really fun explanation that everybody would hate? Would you believe it? It would be very in character for Fate to do that. Why did they destroy the Titan ships? Funny. Very strong Fate logic, absolutely. I'd believe it. I would be like, you know what? Fuck it, we ball. What the fuck am I looking at? You'll have to watch it on youtube.com/klidge. But yeah, that's who I think it is. So chat, I give it to you now. What do you think? And you over on Fun Little YouTube Land, what do you all think? Let me know down below. Yellow is Kazura Drop. Kazura Drop doesn't have big boots, though, does she? I didn't think she had big boots. No, she doesn't. Why is this not showing up? Oh, I see. I see. Yeah, Kazura Drop's got those, like, thigh-high boots. Hear me out. That one with the Scythe is Ruby from Ruby. That would be insane. One of these characters has to be Lilith? No, that Lilith is not releasing this year. I don't think so. That is not Kazura Drop. Fucking close enough. Okay, let me look at Kazura Drop. Oh my god, could you believe it? She also doesn't have big boots. Mental. Look at this. Look at the big boots on Brett over here. I would rather have her than the bug. I would prefer the bug. You wanna know why? You can talk to the bug. The other one this one just knows evil. So, some honorable mentions for characters who I think may appear in the future. Let's start with this one. I don't know how, but I can see it. I'm definitely not copying. Definitely not copium. Alternatively, so I'll be real with y'all. for this, number 3, I forgot, was Andromeda. And so I was going to make the comment, wouldn't it be funny if they made, like, Larva Aurora, who doesn't remember anything from Lost Belt 6? I mean, I'd roll for her. Okay, here's, in case you're curious, this is what Ave Faria looks like.
Kill, kill, kill. Burn.
Yeah. So, any other suggestions before we switch over? Did you see the Chaco latest artwork? He draws young Aurora, which looks exactly like Melusine. I didn't, but I can believe that. Yeah. Alright, well, hi. If you're over on YouTube, come check us out. Who was that lady with the sword? That was Zheng Yi Sao, the king of the pirates. Alright, if you're over on YouTube, come check out the streams. That's going to be it for us here. I will hopefully catch you all in the next one. Peace out later.